Hi everyone and welcome back to the zombies. The Red Worm, the most difficult boss fight in the game so far, especially for solos, but also a key for some of the best schematics to acquire, the Legendary Aether Tool, the Flawless Crystal and the Scorcher Wonder Weapon. Which means you simply have to do this, and this guide is to show you how, even if you don't have a solid team to do it together with. Let's start with the basics. Since it's a really hard fight, you do need your best stuff for it. All the nice things you may have in your stash by now waiting for that important moment to be used. Well, this is that moment. Golden plates are almost a necessity for this. Mag of Holding is extremely helpful and ether blades will make your life much easier during both the prep and the fight. Dogs are pretty much the must, ideally more than one, but we'll get to it in a bit. The meta weapon for the Red Worm fight is still Akimbo WSP Swarms, but only if you have a legendary tool to accompany it. If you do not, you are better off buying a legendary AR or LMG in the round from the wall in the red zone than you are with any meta of lower rarity. And your gun, of course, will need to be punch 3 for you to stand a chance. You'll also need sentry guns with you. Since the current limit is 3 sentries per person active at the same time, that's precisely the amount you should get in the round as you prepare for the fight. The final crucial thing is a durable gas mask. Find one or buy one. Without it, the whole thing becomes a pain. That's the basic equipment set you need to get through the fight, so let's look at how we play this out. First of all, you need to make sure the location for the fight is suitable. There are a total of 4 fighting areas for the Red Worm. Hills in D3 grid and Stadium in C5-D5 grid in the medium threat zone. Then areas in H3-H4 grid south of Orlov base and I6 grid east of Hamza Bazaar in the low threat zone. You really want to make the fight in the low threat zone. You may think that medium threat is all fine, but the fight takes place during the Ether Storm, so all zombies are getting upgraded by 1 tier and then get extra health bath on top of that. So taking on the Red Worm in medium threat makes everything even more difficult, and you really don't want that, at least on your first fight. As you infill into the round with a backpack full of goodies, before you use any of that, open your map, locate where the Ether Storm is and look for the closest fighting area to it. It can be easily recognized by 2 ammo caches located weirdly close together. What you want is the fight area in the low threat zone and the storm reasonably close to it, so you don't have to waste precious time waiting for the storm to reach it. If the location is not suitable or the storm is too far away, proceed to the nearest exfil without using your gear and infill again until conditions align correctly. Don't get too angry if you need multiple attempts to get the suitable setup. The wait early on is well worth it compared to the frustration of getting murdered by the worm and losing all your hard-earned stuff. To get the footage for this video I had to infill and exfil 7 times, but it's no secret that RNG generally hates me. When you do get the map you need for the fight, it's time to arrange you some backup. Get into a safe place, like on the top of the crane or a tower, and send a message to the server, something like, "Anyone for the Red Worm? I'll get the USBs." The fact that you come in solo doesn't mean that you have to fight it alone. The Red Worm is the case of the more the merrier, so make sure to let others know. Do mention the USBs to let others know that you know what you're doing and you're gonna take all the hard work on you. If you don't get any responses, you may want to exfil as well, saving your items for a better chance. If you do get responses, confirm to others that you are the one getting the USBs and the easy part is finished. Now you can go ahead and use your items, except for the dog bone if you brought one. Save that for backup and collect 3 chunks of flesh to get a regular tier 3 dog instead. Your dog bone is for when your first dog dies, which is almost 100% probability. So while people are preparing to participate in the mass suicide with you, you need to get those USBs we mentioned already. These items are required to summon the worm and need to be collected on the map during the match. You can find the USBs in one of 2 ways. The first one is to visit one of the 4 map rooms located on the map. I'm showing where they are on the screen right now, but you can check those locations on WZHub.GG at any time on your own. Rooms themselves are identical, so just go to the one closest to you. In the rooms you'll see 4 overhead photos showing you the areas where USBs are located. If you know the map well, you'll likely recognize them without even having to look long, but you can also check online maps for the same. There's a total of 12 locations where USBs spawn, 3 in the red, 4 in the yellow and 5 in low threat zone. One of the USBs will always be in the red zone, with 1 or 2 in the medium and low threat zones. You can now visit each of the locations to interact with the UAV station and collect each USB stick. Alternatively, since there's only 12 locations where those can spawn, you can skip the visit to the map room altogether and just visit each spot. I personally prefer to know where I'm going, so I do check the map room, but it's totally up to you. Key here is to make it as fast as possible, so you have as much time to prepare for the fight itself. If you're playing in a squad, it makes sense for one person to go around and collect the USBs while the rest of the team pumps up the contracts and amasses some cash.
Calibration data is ours. Keep it up. With that data, the calibration. That is all the calibration data we needed. Excellent work, strike team. If an ether storm.
Once you collect all USBs, use your high rarity high pecker punch gun on one of the low threat exfil zones to farm 3 chunks of meat as fast as possible. Use those to get yourself a tier 3 dog in the red zone. If you are in a squad, have each player to get their own dog too. Those will be extremely helpful in the process. When you got the dog, proceed with spamming the contracts as fast as you can. Chances are, at this point, quite a bit of time has already passed in the round and you want to maximize your cash to make sure you can buy all available perks, have your 3 sentry guns and fill whatever is left of your inventory with self-revives. Keep an eye on the round time though. You want to be at the fighting ground when the storm starts expanding, so account for any travel time you need. As you probably figured by now, preparing for the Red Worm is quite a bit of work, so before we get to the fight itself, I feel I have to also mention a way to somewhat cheese it. Here is the thing, any player that participates in the battle and does any damage to the worm gets the rewards once the worm is killed, regardless whether they are part of the squad that initiated the fight, as long as you stick around to the end of the fight. So if you don't want to fiddle with USBs and just want to have a chance at reward, keep an eye where the fighting ground is as you simply play your normal games. And anytime it is in low threat zone, try to get close to the fighting ground at the end of the main round timer. That way, if another team is doing the Red Worm, you can just tag along for the fight with them. And if nobody does, get to the exfil and wait for another opportunity. What I advise against though is trying to cheese it all the way, like coming in with subpar non-upgraded weapon and hoping to be carried along. It's not a good idea, not just because you shouldn't be an asshole to others, but also because you'll most likely fail. The battle is very intense and since you have to stick around for its duration, you are more likely than not to get your fair share of worms and zombies' attention. If you can't protect yourself, if your gun is a pea shooter, if you don't have self-revives and so on, you'll be dead and may actually cause others to die as well if they try to revive you constantly. So yeah, be sensible, cut the corners but don't try to be an ass about it. So, the moment of truth, the gas is expanding, you are in the place, your newly acquired allies are there as well. What you'll see when you arrive is 4 refractors forming a circle around the ammo depots. Each of them corresponds to one of the USBs you have, and you can only activate them once they are covered in gas. It is well known that the worm's health scales to the number of players, but nobody really knows for sure what exactly the trigger is. One of the prevalent opinions is it depends on the number of people in the squad that inserts the USBs. I'm not sure that's the case, which this battle actually demonstrates, but if that's how it works, we are better off using this. For this exact reason, I'm here solo and not joining other squads when activating the refractors. So as soon as the gas covers the refractors, run around them and use your USBs. Doing so will cause a siren to go off in the area, notifying you and everybody else of imminent arrival of the boss. The summoning sequence takes about a minute to complete, which is the time you should use to place your sentry guns around. Try to spread them out facing inwards so they cover the area from different angles. Zombies will start spawning too. Small numbers at first, but the crowd will be ever increasing, including special zombies and later mega abominations as the worm arrives. The worm itself should be quite familiar to you. Apart from the red glow, its attacks and behavior is very similar to what you had in Bad Signal mission. What makes this fight actually hard is the absence of any kind of cover in the surroundings, so you are constantly under attack, always in the fight, without any pause or time to recover. A very important aspect of the fight is your gas mask management. The two ammo caches in the vicinity allow you to replenish it constantly, but it's super easy to forget about it in the heat of the battle, especially the first time around. In general, the sequence is standard. Shoot the worm as much as you can, trying to hit the exposed weak areas. Dodge his ground pound and laser attacks, as those are instant break of your armor, or instant down if you don't have any armor left. Try to shoot the purple orbs anytime you see them. If you are getting eaten, keep shooting inside the worm while spamming your jump button. Otherwise, it's instant down when you are being speeded out. By now, you probably clearly understand why you really want company for this fight. There's just too much going on for solo, and worst of all, when you're alone, all attention is on you. Every zombie, the worm itself, the orbs, the mega abominations, the whole crowd is aggroed directly at you at all times if you're alone. Having just one additional player helps spread the attention. Having 3 or 4 people around raises your chances of success tremendously. Try to keep an eye on whether your dog is alive. If you stop seeing the pet dog kill notifications, use the dog bone if you saved one. Also try to help any teammates that are down or dead, but be sensible about it. Your own primary task is not to die yourself. Now, one more thing that I feel we need to cover is when things go south. Sometimes it's just bad luck. Sometimes the people that come to help have no idea and just die or run away at the very start. And sometimes the worm glitches one way or another and you can't finish the fight. In any of those cases, remember, you can actually escape the fight and get out of the map alive. Before the battle starts, note any vehicles that are not too far off, or even purposely park one nearby, but not too close so it doesn't get destroyed in the chaos. If you feel like the battle cannot be won about 3 minutes before the timer ends, run towards that vehicle and escape to the final exfil, Dark Aether, or even one of the easier story missions. It's a last resort, but it should not be ignored. Eventually though, you'll get your W in this, there's no doubt. Congratulations, that is the hardest fight in the game so far. The reward rift for the worm always contains one schematic, a gas mask and a random reward, usually being a wonder weapon case. As opposed to regular contracts, different people may get different schematic from the same battle, so if you pick one you already have, drop it on the ground for others, and also look yourself if somebody dropped the one you don't have. 3 schematics that do drop here are Legendary Tool, Flawless Crystal and a Scorcher, so all 3 are useful and worth having. Once you have finished, you can use the portal that spawns next to the reward rift to exfil, or make your way to the final exfil or Dark Aether if there's still time. Hope this guide was helpful, thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.